Yo, Tom Fiddzy here with my review of Book of Boba Fett, Episode 7, the season final of Book of Boba Fett, or at least the final of the setup of Mandalorian Season 3. This episode, straight away, I will say it was mixed for me. There was some amazing stuff in there. I'm still kind of processing it. I know that there's been a lot of criticism about this series, and I haven't really agreed with a lot of it. I haven't really jumped on top of that YouTube. Let's just make complaint videos about everything, because for the most part, I've really loved a lot of the stuff that we've been seeing. It's just when we get to the end, it feels very unbalanced. This series is what I would say. When a lot of people were complaining about the pacing and the flashbacks and the Tusken Raiders and stuff at the beginning, I was absolutely loving that stuff. And then the second half of the series, it became the Din Djarin and the Grogu show, which was fantastic. We got some amazing setup, some great Star Wars stuff and lore, and some awesome stuff to look forward to moving forwards. But then we took away from Boba Fett, and then here in the final, he came back, but I was just sitting there expecting a little bit more, after all that build-up from the beginning of the series with Boba. And then even in the season final, if you add up the amount of time he was really on the screen, it didn't really add up to that much. So in the end, the series kind of feels like it was just setting up why Boba Fett would be in power. At this point of time in the Star Wars story, I still definitely think that this isn't the end. This was just the Book of Boba, in a library of Star Wars. So I'm pretty sure that all of this setup, the fact that they had to show all of this, that they had to show his character growth, him bonding with the Tuskens, becoming a new person, and eventually setting up in Tatooine, the Pykes getting kicked out, all of these other factions getting destroyed. I'm pretty sure that this was all set up for more Boba Fett stories to come, and important Boba Fett stories to come. The bond between Din and Boba has been shown to be really strong, especially in this episode where it was just them two together. That was probably one of the best scenes in this, was them two together. They're talking about their creeds, they're talking about honor, and they're just like willing to go out fighting. I'm fairly confident that this is going to be reciprocated when the Mando inevitably has to go to Mandalore. I think Boba Fett is definitely going to be on his side there. The two foundlings once again looking death straight in the face, going against the odds. Only this time a completely different city with potentially bigger stakes. And Boba Fett this time having his criminal empire behind him. I'm fairly confident that we are going to get Boba on the Rancor and Din on the Mythosaur. I think this episode kind of set up some of that stuff, especially at the end with Din. We'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, I'm definitely thinking we're going to get Boba on Rancor and we're going to get Din on the Mythosaur. I think that them two, their stories are interwoven now. So I don't think it's the end of Boba Fett. It's just a shame that his show kind of ended in, I don't want to say like a whimper for him, but as I said, unbalanced. We definitely got a conclusion to his character and his plot, and his growth, especially in the stuff with him versus Cad Bane. We'll talk about that in a second as well. It's just as a whole, as a standalone series, it's definitely off balance and a weird one. But I think in the grand scheme of things, it will all make sense, So I have confidence in that. It's just left me walking away with I don't know, confused maybe is the word that I'm looking for. Because, it's hard to rate a show when it doesn't necessarily feel concluded, and it doesn't feel like a standalone thing when it was. Maybe in a way I feel a little bit tricked by Disney. I don't want to blame Disney, But yeah, I guess, yeah, maybe I walk away feeling a little bit tricked as to what I got. But I'm still very satisfied with what I got. So it's confusing, you know. It's you know, there are two sides to the coin here, because I stand by the fact what I said last time in my last review, that this is Star Wars that has got me back and interested in Star Wars. This is Star Wars that puts a smile on my face, and I have very much been enjoying it. But for the purposes of this review, I've got to review it as just the book of Boba Fett. And as that, I think there was a letdown. But as far as the overall contents in the show, what we got, I think it was all pretty much fantastic. Still iffy about the mods. I think they should have been a little bit dirtier. But the whole point of them was that they do contrast and stand out, you know. And you know, there were some other small little nitpicks throughout that I'll cover some of these in this episode. They're more kind of like tropey things, but yeah, apart from that, series as a whole, mixed, unbalanced, bit disappointed. Story as a whole, for what it's done for Star Wars and The Mandalorian, fantastic. The last few weeks have been an absolute joy. So that's kind of where my mind's at. Let's talk about this episode, because there was a lot of great Star Wars stuff in this episode. As I mentioned before, we got Din and Boba working together. Their stuff on screen together was awesome. The two of them just talking. I will say that at the beginning, when Boba's coming up with the plan and these mods are just like, no, we take this building, and him being like, yeah, okay, I agree. I was like, oh, this is what they're saying, where he's a yes. Like, people are complaining that he's a yes man. So I was a little bit disappointed in that. But, you know, you get the idea that he's taken on other people's ideas and stuff. And that's the kind of leader that he is, someone who listens. But he redeemed himself later on when he sent out the Major Domo with the note. And you knew it was going to happen, and he was reading it all up, and he was being such like so pompous and thespian, and all the theatrics and stuff, that all of the stuff that we've come to love with this Major Domo character, who I wonder if he is going to stick around, you know. I wonder if he is going to become Boba's Major Domo in the end, you know. I can see him worming his way in there. But then he just reads it, Boba's thing, it's like, Tatooine will thrive again on the on fertilized by the blood from your bodies. And then that was an absolute badass moment, and then he come out on their jetpacks. Absolutely awesome. That really redeemed Boba in that one. And then great shootout. Probably the biggest criticism, apart from like the balance issues of this episode, was that the enemy's accuracy was terrible. Once again, like the protagonists were pinpoint, and the antagonists, they were pinpoint, but only where the armor points were. Never in between, never the legs, never the groin. Even with Black Krrsantan, he was walking along, badass moment, he's walking along, he's limping, there's shots firing, he's just moving forwards, but they're hitting his like belt. Like all of this Wookiee that you can hit, and it's hitting like the thin belt, doing. So yeah, everyone on the good guys' side seemed pretty impervious to damage, I would say. But yeah, so you know, after a while, I did definitely start noticing, even like the Rancor, giant Rancor target, got hit a few times, but most of the time on the armor, most of the time missing. Yeah, bit weird there. You know, the more as the episode went on, the more you notice that plot armor was just everywhere. But it's fine, because it's great to see a big like shootout like this. You know, I haven't really seen anything like that in Star Wars, not since like maybe early Mandalorian. So it's not something that you see often, like a big kind of shootout like that. Because you know, it's more like giant wars and stuff. Obviously, you got a lot of that in like the Clone Wars and stuff, but is in live action, I'm talking about. Yeah, it was just really, really awesome. And it was long as well. And then those droids came around the corner. Second I saw them, I was like, I recognise them. And I think they're concept art from they're either from like tanks, like concept art for tanks from the Clone Wars, or concept art for what the droidicas were going to be. Definitely droidica vibes with the domes. More things in Star Wars should have those shield domes. But yeah, they were awesome. They look great. Great that they brought back, I think it was Doug Chan, concept art for that. So they're moving away from the Ralph McQuarrie, moving now into Doug Chan stuff. You know, we go with the M1 Starfighter and stuff. And we get again with them droids. They were really awesome, really formidable. You know, maybe their guns can't even destroy a stone wall, but that's fine. They were still like a genuine threat going through the streets like Terminators. Like, you just can't destroy them. Even the Darksaber can't penetrate the shield. Boba's just like, we need more reinforcements. He flies off. Maybe came back a little bit too quick. Like, we go all the way to his palace. He got on the Rancor, and then he came back so fast. I'm guessing the Rancor was parked just outside of town, maybe. It's a bit odd when you really think about it, but that's fine. Passage of time in Star Wars is always a weird thing anyway, so whatever. Maybe Jabba's palace is a lot closer to Mos Espa than I actually think. I'm not sure, but it definitely felt like he just like went round the corner and then came back on the Rancor. But wow, when that Rancor turned up, it was so good. The Godzilla hints, you know, you see he's like back, and then he comes over the building and roars. It was so Godzilla. Then we got like Godzilla versus Mecha Godzilla. There was kind of Godzilla-esque cues in the music. Seeing a Rancor going around the streets, Boba Fett on top, and I say riding it. How much was he really controlling it? To be honest, he was just sitting on it. He was riding it in the sense that he was sitting on it and he was there for the ride. But it was awesome. I really liked the moment where the Rancor held the guy up for Boba Fett to shoot. So that, you know, does show that they were in sync, you know, a little bit. Would have been great to have seen him training, but the appearance of it was awesome. And it was on screen for so long. And not only did we get one fight versus the robots, we got two as well. And they were both awesome and they were both unique. Every time the Rancor got shot, I was genuinely worried. I was fearful for the Rancor's health in this episode. You know, there was a moment where the Rancor got knocked down and I was like, I did an audible, no, like. And the other time was when the Gamorreans died. They didn't even get names, you know, and they died. No amount of Bacta's going to heal them. Rip the Gamorreans. That's really sad. Generally sad for them. They were so loyal. They didn't deserve that. It would have been nice to have seen like little gravestones for them or something. Yeah, that's sad. The only real casualties though, and unfortunately the fodder ones, but we finally got some cool Gamorrean characters and they got killed off like that. That was, yeah, really, I'm generally quite sad for them. But I guess that kind of makes like out with the old, out with the Jabba, in with the new, Boba Fett with the mods and stuff. So yeah, I guess thematically again it kind of makes sense. But yeah, poor guys. I hope they get names when they appear in the data bank. And then yeah, so we got the Rancor stuff, we got the fight. That was awesome. And then we got Boba versus Cad Bane. Obviously it's sad that, spoilers, Cad Bane gets killed, but this is Star Wars. The beautiful thing about Star Wars is just because, you know, the end of a story doesn't mean you can't have more stories. We're getting an Obi-Wan story and Obi-Wan is dead because Star Wars travels around in time. You can start at the end of the story, the beginning of the story, the middle of the story, it doesn't matter. So I'm sure there's lots of Cad Bane stories still to tell. Callbacks to the Clone Wars, callbacks to their bonds. I like the fact that in a typical bounty hunter shootout, Cad Bane was the winner, but the new adapted Boba Fett, who'd learnt the gaffy stick, who spent time with the Tusken Raiders, that is how he beat Cad Bane. Not as a bounty hunter, but as a new person, as a new man. Cad Bane stuck to the old, Boba Fett embraced the new, and in the end that made him win. So that was actually really cool. At this point there was no blood on the end of the gaffy stick. That was definitely noticeable, but fine, whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's sad because Cad Bane was awesome. And he was so good in this episode as well. But the fact that he definitely, you know, he brought up like, you've grown soft and stuff like that. And you could tell that, yeah, this guy, he hasn't changed. Boba Fett has. and the change is going to let him win. And he won the fight with the gaffy stick, which is the symbol of Boba Fett's change, I would say. So yeah, that was really awesome. I feel like if you're not a diehard Star Wars fan, though, maybe that's not necessarily going to get across. You know, we know it because, or like I know it. I say we. I'm assuming that you're as big a Star Wars fan as me. But like I know it because watch the Clone Wars, and I saw Cad Bane training Boba Fett and talking about Jango Fett, and he brings up Jango here. So I've got that context. But if you haven't seen that, I feel like you're missing a lot. I do really appreciate the fact that that's how they're telling stories in Star Wars. You know, I do like the fact that writers know that people can Wikipedia stuff and watch YouTube videos and stuff, and that you shouldn't have to fill out all the blanks because all of the gaps, because that makes it feel more real. But I do wonder how that affects more general audiences. I thought it was really good because I could see the themes. Let me know if you could, and let me know how you think about that. I think it is just something worth noting. This series as a whole definitely played more to the avid Star Wars fan. Definitely Mandalorian watching is a big requirement. And I would say the Clone Wars is pretty big as well. Grogu returned. That was really awesome. As I said with the Mandalorian stuff in the previous episodes, I'm glad we got all that stuff out of the way, so we don't have to deal with it when we get into Mandalorian season 3. So we can focus on bigger and better stuff. It's good that we don't have to wait so long to find out the answer to Grogu's question. If this was a manga or something like that, or an anime, we would have to wait arcs and seasons, maybe even years. But we found out straight away. He doesn't stay at Luke's death trap. Feel a bit bad for Luke. He lost his first student, but well done to Luke for, letting him go. Maybe that kind of loss took an effect on Luke and, something with his mindset, and put him down a path where he became more doubtful, which is obviously stuff that we see with Ben later on. So stuff to contemplate there. I'm a little bit upset that we didn't get an R5, R2 reunion, or even like a little look and acknowledgement between the two. I think that would have generally been quite good. Just like a look. Just like they look at each other and beep. And then Penny's just like, you two watch your language, or something like that again. Maybe it was the lead scene, I don't know. But they were there, they were right next to each other there. I hope they maybe had a little bit of a conversation. But yeah, Grogu's back. And then we got to see him do the classic Jedi thing, very Ezra. And he tamed the beast. He has an affinity with animals, not just eating them. He actually tamed the big Rancor beast. The Rancor also, something, a young adolescent creature that was raised in one way and growing up now in another. So there's parallels between the two. There's parallels between a lot of stuff in Star Wars. It's what it does so well, doing parallels and stuff like that, and poetry, and rhyming and rhythm and symmetry. All the classic Star Wars traits, and you see it between them two. And then of course you've got the cute moment where they're both sleeping next to each other. I do feel like this is what I was talking about at the beginning. Sorry, I've just been rambling on, just talking as I'm thinking it. Din was trying to ride the Rancor, couldn't quite get a hold of it. I think that's definitely setting up him later on going to ride a mythosaur. But at that moment, I was like, they're all shooting at the Rancor and everything. Din swoops in to try and tame it. Part of me was like, please don't tame it, Din. I want this to be Boba Fett's moment. I feel like it would have been really cool if, when it was on the tower, Boba Fett flew in, instantly tamed it, and then you got a shot of the Rancor on the tower roaring with Boba Fett riding it and everyone in the town watching. I think that would have been awesome. Really would have cemented it as like Boba's town. Maybe it would have showed it more as like a more ruling of it. But we got the Grogu scene instead, and that was powerful in its own very different way. Him using the Force much more adeptly. He took out a bolt of one of the droids. For a second I thought he was going to completely crush the droid, but he took out a bolt and he wasn't as fatigued, but here using the Force in a more peaceful way, in a more Jedi way. That was generally really cool, and it was really sweet at the end where he's just tapping on the glass, and Din's like, no, tap tap tap, no, tap tap tap. Okay, one more time, and we got the shot of Grogu in the bubble pod, on the old astromech socket that we knew was going to happen. Then it ends with Boba. He is now in charge of Mos Espa and I guess Tatooine as a whole, and he's like, we're not made for this, kind of countering everything that he's made, but in the end he takes up that role and becomes a better person, and Tatooine, I think, is going to become maybe a safer place. Jakku becomes the new Tatooine, the new outlaw rubbish desert planet that you don't want to go to, and Tatooine becomes more thriving, and I think it's definitely going to be a place where Din can go and hang out. I think Tatooine is still very much going to be the focus of stories, and I'm not complaining because there's a lot of interesting lore and stuff in Tatooine, and I'm always happy to go back there. A lot of my favourite stuff happens there, and I'll be happy to return. I know a lot of people are like, it's a big galaxy, we should keep going out and exploring others. Yeah, it's a big galaxy, but Tatooine is the heart and soul of Star Wars, The whole thing is that it's a small, out-of-the-way planet that's not very remarkable, yet everything remarkable happens there anyway. And yeah, I'm more happy to keep returning for more remarkable stuff, and we will with Obi-Wan, and we definitely will be going back, because at the end we see Cobb Vanth. He's in the back to pod, and the surgeon guy is there, the mod guy is there. He's gonna give Cobb Vanth some of them beautiful machinery, probably a robot arm, I would imagine. What's he gonna look like when he gets out of there? Speculation running rampant, but it's good that Cobb Vanth is back, and they definitely have plans for him. Big plans, book of Cobb Vanth, confirmed. But no, he's going to be another big character going forwards. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything of this episode. I'm glad Black Krrsantan survived. 8 survived. He made it to the end. I would like to... I never got the Boba Fett party in the palace that I was kind of hoping for. It kind of ended with him walking the streets, people bowing to him. Doesn't need a litter. But yeah, so hopefully when next time we catch up with Boba Fett, we see him more, just see more of his empire, see more of the people around him, see what's going on in his palace, I guess if it did end with Boba Fett in the palace surrounded by people, it would have made him anything. It would have made him very much like Jabba, like Bib Fortuna, Tatooine comes to them, but instead he's gone to Tatooine, in a sense, he's gone to the people don't come to him. So yeah, I guess in a theming way that's good. In a satisfaction way it's bad, because I wanted Max Rebo playing back in Boba's palace, and just seeing 8 doing the robot or something at the end. But no, I just like the fact that now he can walk the streets, and he's a respected man. He got his wish, he got his dream. It all came full circle. There was a weird detour with Din and Grogu in the middle, but overall, I'm sure it all serves a greater purpose. I personally really like Boba Fett's new character. I really like the growth that he's shown. I feel like a lot of the way it's been communicated has been quite subtle. And thanks to things like a Full Center as well for their amazing breakdowns of the episodes that really get into the theming of it. Go check them out if you haven't watched that channel. But they really get into the theming of it, and that's really helped my perspective of some of the more subtle aspects of this show. And from the character growth and everything of this character, I can take away a lot from this. The more I've talked about it now, the more I've kind of come to terms with it, and I'm adjusting it. I still think it's unbalanced, but overall, it's still put a smile on my face. So I definitely wouldn't change it, apart from a few small details. But Canon Boba Fett, I like you, and I hope you stay around for a long time, and we do get another book in the story of your life. All right, I've been Tom Fiddzy. Let me know what you think. What do you think of the Rancor? What do you think of everything? And what are your hopes going forward for not only Boba Fett, but also the Mandalorian, mini franchise as a whole? And yeah, all right. Chat to you later. Bye. Peace.